Hello, my friends, and welcome to this training today. I am Dr. Ginny Baro, and it is always a pleasure to connect with you to bring you a topic that is significant to the week. For example, this week I had two conversations, almost seemed like they were in the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of my clients being a more of a younger career and startup career, and the other one being someone who's been around for decades now working in the business world. And they both had two very distinct situations that when I distill what was at the bottom of the crux of the issue, it all boils down to the topic that I want to bring to you today. And that is, how can you increase your influence? And for someone who's younger in their career, that may seem like, how can I navigate situations where people are trying to take advantage of me, right? People are dumping extra work that belongs to them or trying to offload that work on me. And for someone who's more seasoned, who's been around the block a few times, who's had experience, it looks more like, how can I increase my influence so that I can articulate the value that I provide? And even when I am pursuing roles within my company or externally, that I can articulate my value very powerfully, succinctly, and persuasively. This is what the training is about today: communication. Your communication and how you tailor your communication based on your ultimate goal is going to help you accomplish both of those objectives. Being able to influence in people trying to, for example, take advantage of you, and also influencing how you sell and how you promote yourself authentically and uniquely and with integrity. So this is what we're going to coach on today and what we're going to train on today. And let me take these two conversations one at a time. So one of my clients said to me, I am having an issue right now with one of my coworkers who is a peer. And so put yourself in that situation where you have a peer, and this peer is very unreliable. And what is happening is, because he's being unreliable, I have to pick up the slack. He calls me, and I feel like it's my problem to solve whenever he cannot show up to do his work, to carry his own weight. And so the coaching that I gave her around this was, let's talk about your communication. First of all, what have you done first? That's the first question. And she went through what she has currently done, which is basically to pick up the slack. And then I said, well, who have you communicated with about this issue? And she mentioned that the manager is well aware that this is happening. However, his style is to not be direct about what is going on and is giving this individual a lot of slack. And at the end of the day, it all falls back on her. So we coached around, what is most important to you here? And she went ahead and told me what that was. So for you, when you think of a situation where you're currently in this crunchy situation and you're finding that it's out in the open that this is a problem, but there doesn't seem to be anyone who's taking responsibility for the problem, including the manager who's in charge, then the question is, what can you, as an individual who's leading yourself, do about it? And that's where the 4 agreements, at least one of them right now, is going to be extremely important. And the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is one of the frameworks that I teach during the Fearless Leadership Mastermind, which is the training to help women grow and advance within their organizations. So one of the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. If my client is feeling that she is getting the short end of the stick because she's picking up the slack of an employee or a peer who's not performing, who is not reliable, being impeccable with her word to herself would look like what? And that's what I asked her. And that's what I'm asking you. If you were to be impeccable with your word about the situation and be honest, and I'm sure some of the words you're going to share may not be shareable with other people. This is just for this exercise. But if you're being honest with yourself, what is being impeccable with your word as it relates to the situation. And in my client's case, it was about the fact that she's not happy, that she is doing her job, she's taking care of her responsibilities, and that whenever this person is supposed to take over the project and be there for the clients in case they need them, that he will call her and say, I can't make it. Can you show up and do the job? And so for her, being impeccable with her word was to basically say, that is a non-starter. Like, this is not a good path forward, and we have to put an end to this. That's her being impeccable with her word. And so then the conversation moves on to, okay, so let's talk about what is your responsibility and what is someone else's responsibility. And then we get into the conversation of, what have you shared with your manager about this? And she basically had been complaining to her manager about it, rather than come up with solutions that she can propose to her manager. And I had one of my mentors and managers, Rich, who used to always say, come to me with solutions, not only with problems. And so early on in my career, I learned that if I had a quote unquote complaint from my manager, I had to come prepared with a potential solution. And that's what my client and I started to do, started to brainstorm what would be potential solutions to the problem that you're complaining to your manager about. And so she and I coached around, what if I were able to articulate to my manager that we need a process in place, that whenever we have these projects that get assigned, that we have a point person who will be interacting with the client, and that there's a backup person who will be the person who can be there to support the client in case that the initial person or the primary person can't. And so that was the ultimate solution as it relates to communicating to her manager. And so she's going to address her manager and provide these solutions, and also provide what will be the benefits to the clients, because they're trying to build a good brand and good customer service. On the side of the individual who is constantly calling her and saying, can you cover for me? I also coached her around, what would it look like to be impeccable with your word with your peer, especially now that we know that this is not a happenstance or a isolated event, that this is happening repeatedly. She then walked me through how she would approach the conversation with him and indicate that when he reaches out to her and says, would you be able to cover for me? That she would say, actually, I can't. And that's it, right? Like, this is not my responsibility. This is not my problem. This is your responsibility. And I can't cover because I do have other things that I'm responsible for. And I am committed to doing other things. So she walked away from our conversation feeling so empowered that she now had a clear direction, a clear message, a clear approach as to how she was going to resolve the situation that was causing her so much angst, that she is literally not looking forward to going to work under these circumstances. So that's one scenario. If you happen to be in that scenario, the questions to ask yourself is, what would be impeccable with my work look like? Who would be the people who I need to have encouraging and empowering conversations with? And what will be my messaging to both of those people, coming from a place of, I want to solve this issue. This is really impacting my performance, and I want to do what's best for the team and improve how we operate as a team and how we collaborate. And at the same time, not allowing someone to take advantage of you or to give you the short end of the stick, right? It takes courage to own it and to not be the victim. It takes courage to do that. The only people who can resolve a conflict are the people who are involved in that conflict. And when we put our head under the sand, hoping that it goes away, many of us learn that what happens is that it festers and the relationships erode and it gets worse and worse over time. And then we get discouraged, we disengage to the point where we want to leave because we can't handle this conflict anymore. And so this is happening to you where you're facing something very crunchy. I would say that this is a gift. And I know this may sound like tongue-in-cheek, but quite frankly, if this was not happening, you would not have the opportunity to rise to the occasion and learn the skill set of dealing with conflict and increasing your influence as it relates to advocating for yourself and standing up for yourself. So that is that one case. The other case is where you want to improve your ability to influence and improve your executive presence as a leader, someone who's seasoned, someone who's been around. So many of you are extremely successful. You've made it where you are because you're good at what you do. You're a subject matter expert. You have been around the block. You bring your background. You bring your institutional knowledge, and you have your own success system, let's call it that way. And now that you are a more senior level leader and you want to upscale and you want to continue to grow and collaborate and add the most value, it's time to retool and gain some additional skills and soft skills that will support you in increasing your executive presence. And one of the keys that I give to my clients as we're coaching together around building your executive presence, and I know this is not going to sound like they're related, but they are related 100%, is connect to your unique value and to your story. And the reason why I say that is when you listen to a speaker, when you listen to an executive, who is connecting you to stories about himself, herself, themselves that are real, that touch your heart, that don't look like they are a machine or a computer talking with you, but rather like a human, you tend to listen and be more engaged with that leader when they are sharing authentically, genuinely, appropriately with you and with their audience than when they are simply looking or trying to look like they're perfect. And so with my client who's a seasoned professional, high potential, talented leader, we coached around how can she leverage her own story of being the daughter, the first generation of immigrants, to engage her audience, to use that story appropriately during moments when the team may be struggling to complete a project, to move forward an initiative, or when launching an effort that she knows is going to take a lot of work, that it's one where we're going to find a lot of obstacles along the way. And to lean on and make parallels between her story being a first generation immigrant, right, born in the United States, and then relating that to how, even though this project may look so daunting and that there's so many hurdles and obstacles in front of us, and how you, as someone who is the daughter of immigrants who also wanted to make something of herself and who felt that she was so different as she was growing up in a household of immigrants versus her friends, right, who had lots of wealth and who were in a lifestyle that was so different from hers, how you used your vision for becoming a professional woman and for being educated so you can take the opportunities that your parents were providing to you and become someone in the world who is willing to help others to succeed. How you were able to learn the value of relationships and how you leverage all of that to get yourself where you are today, that in the similar way, the team is going to acquire the resources, that she's there to provide the vision as the leader and to remove obstacles that are going to get in the way of the team for them and for us to complete this initiative and achieve and complete this project. When you, as a leader, own your own story and your story of origin and the stories that you've been through, including the failures, and sometimes especially the failures, you become a more influential leader and you elevate your executive presence. You become an engaging speaker. You become someone that people respect because they, my friends, also have their own stories. Everyone walking around you has a unique value proposition, has their own stories. So now let me move to talk more about your unique value proposition. So to elevate your executive presence, you must understand your unique value. And your unique value is composed of three main components. And you've probably heard me speak about these before, maybe in a different context. The first component of your unique value proposition is your why, what makes you tick, what makes things important and significant to you. When I do this exercise with my clients, we go through a framework that I created. And at the end of the conversation, the person has, this is my why today. And by the way, your why can change from time to time. So in the case of my clients, many of them, they want to be happy. They want to make the biggest contribution. They don't want to squander the opportunities that they have. They are here to be a positive force in this world. That's just a few colors of the types of why that people uncover. When you understand your why, when you're going through a position change, when you're going through interviews internally or externally, you can bring that with you. You can share that with people who ask you, so tell me about your leadership style. You can incorporate your why into your leadership style. For example, for me, I'm someone who values relationships, someone who believes in giving people opportunities, someone who believes in allowing and enabling others to reach their full potential. Why is that? Because as an immigrant myself, it was so important to me that others gave me opportunities, that others helped me and support me to reach my full potential. Mentors, teachers, friends, family. And so to that end, when I lead, I want to help my team reach their full potential. I want to help my son, Kyle, reach his full potential. And I want to help my clients reach theirs. And that's my why. So when you are in an interview, when you are in a meeting with friends or in a meeting with colleagues, when you are networking and you are being asked, so tell me about you, you can start with your why. Like, I just want you to know that for me, what drives me every single day is reaching my full potential and supporting my clients and my son achieve theirs. That really brings me joy and so much happiness. And what I do is XYZ, right? And then the conversation goes on. But people will remember your why. People will remember you as someone who is in touch with your why. And then let's talk about component number two. Component number two is your superpowers. So there's many people who do what you do, especially as a leader. Someone may have the same title that you have. Someone may have a similar title as you. Someone may have as many responsibilities as you. But how you do your job, how you do your role, and how you show up is going to be very unique to you. And so don't forget to share that with the people around you, that you value honesty, integrity, that you value people who are trustworthy, that you value a good work ethic, that you value opening doors for people, connecting people, that you value getting the work done and delivering on what you promised. When you share your superpowers and how you show up and how you are able to read a room and how you are very resourceful and how you are a problem solver, that you love solving problems, when you share your superpowers with people, it enhances your executive presence. It enhances how others view you, which enhances your personal brand, which is what people say about you when you leave the room. And so that's the second component of your unique value proposition. And the third one is the easiest one, because this is the one that people hire us for. They hire you because you're a subject matter expert in X. What are your marketable skills? Your marketable skills is what's on your resume. This is what people hire you to do. And this is what you get paid. That's the easy one. And you know what that is. Just look at your resume for that. So let's go back to now how to leverage a unique value proposition to amplify your executive presence and to be influential in your space. Don't be afraid to own and to share appropriately in context your unique value with others, whether it's because you're trying to enlist your team to work on a specific project or initiative, whether it's because you're having a conversation with a CEO or the C-suite, anyone in the C-suite, the board, anyone about who you are in general, not in a meeting, but more in a more social setting. When you are in the middle of interviews internally or externally, don't forget to own your unique value, to speak about when they ask you, tell me about your leadership style, anchor them into your why. My leadership style is to support my team to reach their full potential and to remove any obstacles that I find along the way to support them in doing that. It's also to build relationships. My leadership style is to collaborate, to ensure that the right people are speaking to each other, and to use my resourcefulness and connectedness and ability to connect people to help them do that successfully. It's also to ensure that I communicate the vision to everyone around me so that we are all rowing in the same direction. That's my leadership style. And I believe that everyone, just like me, has a unique value proposition. And that my job as a leader is to discover the unique value of each person around me and then let them run with it and remove obstacles from the way so they can do their thing and do it successfully. That's my leadership style. How believable and how memorable do you think you will be if you show up to an interview or a conversation with this level of confidence and with this level of clarity? Now, don't forget, they're hiring you or want you for very specific skills. And what you're doing is you are letting them know and giving them certainty that you have that skill, and that on top of that, here's all the other stuff you bring to this position. Because many people, my friends, and you, I'm sure, know some of these people, many people can do a job and execute and implement, and they're leaving behind a trace of bodies that they had to walk and crawl over in order to get that done. The difference when you do it is that you get things done, but you collaborate to do it, and you build relationships instead of destroying them in the process. You are someone who cares about the people around you instead of only caring about yourself. And I'm speaking from experience. And so when you show up like this and have this type of conversation and share how uniquely you do your job and your role, that's when people say, I want you to come to my company and do that. I want you to come to my department and do that. Because this is not something that everybody's doing out there. And most people are not articulate as it relates to what is their unique value. And most people are looking to pull the wool over someone's eyes about, I am a good interviewer, but I'm just going to bluff my way through the interview, or I'm going to bluff my way through the networking opportunities. Why don't you show up authentically, own who you are, own your unique value, understand it so you can articulate it and share it and increase your influence, increase your executive presence. So that's the training for today, my friends. I hope that this was helpful to you. And if it was, I would love to hear from you. Leave me a message. And if you happen to listen to this training before July 10th, 2023, in July, I will be hosting the Women's Fearless Leaders Challenge. It is a free training for women and for leaders who are ready to upscale, to up level, and to create a clear roadmap to how to continue to move forward and reach your full potential. And if that sounds cliche to you, I am here to show you that as an immigrant who came to this country at 14 without speaking English, who went through her education, who started working full time and has been doing this now for over 30 years, and who 7 years ago began her own business, reaching my full potential is no cliche to me. Reaching my full potential is something that I continually do. I'm always evolving. I'm always learning from everyone around me, including I will be learning from you when you join us at the Fearless Leaders Challenge. And it's my pleasure to help you and support you in any way that I can to truly show up confident without the self-doubt and to own what gifts you already have and leverage them to continue to grow your career and to evolve as a human being so that you can not only serve and produce and be a productive citizen or member of society, and also to support others around you who would be more than lucky to have your support. So that's what we're going to accomplish. So check out the fearlessleaderschallenge.com to get all the details and join us in July. Live with purpose, live with joy. I'll see you soon.